Hey Ross World. Today I will be asking questions and answering them dealing with race. And by the way, I'm not a racist or a black supremacist. I'm all about understanding black empowerment and black consciousness and also black intelligence. I have many non-black friends that includes whites, Hispanics, Asian Pacific, and Pacific Islanders. All right, let's get into it. Today I have Jimmy with me, and he's going to give us the white perspective, Caucasian, Anglo-Saxon, so on and so forth. We're just going to basically ask and answer some questions. So, Jimmy, where are you from?
Well, first, Ross, thanks for having me. I'm from Ohio.
Ohio. Okay. Any black people in Ohio?
Yes. My town actually has the distinction of we. It's a bad distinction, but we have a river runs through town, and the west end of town is predominantly African American, and then it's a very even mix throughout the rest of the town. But there is a almost like a line of demarcation. It's kind of
That
terrible.
separates.
Yeah, it's not necessarily purposeful. It's just how it happened over the years. Um, you know, kind of like Chinatown is a set section of like San Francisco or other major cities. People just started to congregate there and be amongst their culture. But so I went to school and I had black kids in my class every grade. It was not something strange to me. Like if one were from say like a small town and well, I'll pick on Alabama, but basically.
Okay. Why do you think African American men date outside their race? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, see that's a tough one. There's a lot of stress on the average African American man. There's what I like to call the burden of performance, which all males have. It's left over from the patriarchy. A man's supposed to be a provider. They always say, "Well, you're a man, ain't you?" And I feel like if a man's not being appreciated, he will tend to go the 180 of what he's currently dealing with and try to look elsewhere.
Okay.
That's a different question and answer because I don't want to take that as a slight towards black women. I've dated black women, fine women. It's just it really all depends on where you're at, like what type of culture exists in the African American community of that town or that region. Um, I could pick on north versus south, city versus urban, rural. Uh, do you understand where I'm coming from?
I understand. I guess my perspective on it would be that, in addition to what you said, not being appreciated, also this, I think we're really curious. I think we are a curious race in general, but more so men than women, that we want to explore different types of races in many aspects. And some of us may believe that the grass is greener on the other side, but the grass is still greener or just as green on our side. So, I mean,
It's a go ahead. I'm
I,
sorry.
I was going to just say that we're curious at first, or we're not being appreciated at first. And then we go to the other side, and there's, you know, pretty intelligent, gorgeous white women that may treat a black man well, but I believe we may get soaked up into that. And I'm not saying it's wrong. My preference is dating a black woman or being with a black woman.
I think that there is a trend, and I've noticed just from my readings. Um, I like to think that black women expect a lot more out of their men because
Okay.
if you look at a majority of battered women, at least everything portrayed on TV is all white women. Now, if that's being portrayed, it's either a culture ingrained in our heads that that's what it is, but where do they draw that from? I mean, I'd like to see some more concrete statistics. And in my hometown, from all the white women I saw in like bad relationships, they have this nurture instinct where every black woman I've ever met, they're only going to put up with your nonsense for so long.
True.
And I think maybe there's not a comfortable balance. Like they're maybe a little too hyper aggressive, combating nonsense maybe, whereas a white woman maybe will let it go a little too far, or maybe is more understanding. Because there's a balance between understanding and letting yourself get walked on, and that's with any race really.
Okay.
You ask tough questions.
They're somewhat tough. I mean,
Because
it's just your perspective, so I mean, it can't be wrong. No,
Well,
your perspective cannot be
politically-
wrong because your perspective, in a sense, is your opinion. So, I mean, I like to hear it because given different thoughts may peel back a few onions. All right, so let's move along here. Why do you think African American women date outside their race?
Socioeconomic factors. Maybe the dating pool in that region is poor for their race and their culture. I look at it this way: if for example, take where we're at. If all you saw was of your race was maybe not to your liking, would you not take a gander because you are a human being? You desire to mesh with someone on a social and emotional level. You'd be willing to go find that elsewhere.
An intellectual level too.
Very much so.
Okay.
You'd be willing to look outside your societal norms, what society expects of you. Look at men who retire to the Philippines, or even men who take Filipino brides or Korean wives, whatnot, and go back home. They desire a certain type of woman, and I like to think that applies to a woman as well. They might prefer a different type of man more to their goals. Your goals don't have to sync up with your culture. I think that's a huge problem. We treat everyone as a monolith. Like you have to want the same thing that everybody your color wants, and we apply that to.
That's a good point.
We apply it to everything, including love.
So I'm gonna be very blunt here. I believe that they date outside their race simply. Well, I won't say simply. I have more than one answer, but they're tired of black men bullshit, and that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, I can talk days about.
I can't talk about black men bullshit because I'm not a black man.
I can understand that, but I'm saying I understand that, but I've met some black women and I met some black men who don't date black people at all, and to me that's interracial racism, and I just can't stand for it because not all of one race is the same way. So, secondly, they may feel as though that a non-black person may take care of them better or more financially stable or basically not dealing with the so-called typical stereotypical black man bullshit, running games, pretending like they have education or financial wealth and really are doing horrible on the backside.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Honestly, I have a friend of mine. I haven't spoken to her in years, but she married a black man, has a bachelor's degree in anthropology or something. Smart fellow.
Uh-huh.
I haven't had the privilege of meeting him, but I hadn't seen her for years.
Anthropology, is that digging in the ground or something?
I know it's fancy.
All right.
Say it. I know it's
Okay.
I know it's fancy, and they're doing well. I think it's more about looking for some people date specifically on looks, which Chris Rock said it once. He said new pussy can't cook, new pussy's illiterate.
Uh-huh.
That was years back. I hope somebody remembers that because I feel old now. But if you look at all the factors, like I'll tell you right now, if they say girls, rate 1 through 10, right? If I got a black girl who's a 6, but she's got a degree, she's got a job, she supports my goals, but I got this white girl who's a 10, but she's basic, as just all get out, right?
Okay.
I'm more inclined to go towards the one with more resources. I don't care about color. I care about, are you on my level? There is a curiosity to some, sure, but I would go ahead and deal with resources. Is she an asset? Not necessarily to be exploited, but to build an empire together.
Well, Roswell, that is the white perspective from Jimmy. This is Roswell. We're out.